Okay, so we're back in a tool set. Oh, and one thing I wanted to mention that I forgot to mention previously, when I was in the tool set just before I went in game, I forgot that I had to install the Legends Info plugin. So in order to do that, it was just a straightforward, import the info plugins ERF file and then go into the master configurator, activate it, go into the info plugin, run file configuration finish to activate that, and it was done. The second thing that I neglected to do, which I'm always reminding everybody to do, which I didn't do, was in the area properties, put in the on client enter script and on exit scripts. Make sure you do that for each area. So I did that, and that was the only things I did off camera. So we're here back in the tool set, and what I wanted to demonstrate this time was we know that based on the choices in our Quest plugin, the player is forced to examine this chest before they can kill the kobold, because the kobold's objective is not shown and it's also not active until we do this. Now, let's just say that we do want to actually allow that. Let's say we do want to give the player the option, and that option being letting them skip the chest and letting them just say, a friend told me that the kobold has it for this chest, and the friend told me this kobold has the necklace, so I'm just going to skip the chest part and go straight and kill the kobold and get the necklace and finish the quest. Can I do that? Is that something we can do? Yes, absolutely, we can do that now. Before you couldn't. Before you could have both objectives active, go get the necklace first, but then you couldn't return it because it said, you haven't completed all my objectives. You have to complete all my objectives before you can turn me in. So you actually could do either objective out of order, but you still had to do both. Now you don't necessarily have to do it that way. So I'll show you how that's done. We'll fire up the Quest plugin here and show you how that's done. We're just going to edit our quest here real quick. I've got a whole bunch of test quests in there. So we'll just go down to our stolen necklace quest and go to our NPC. So here are our two objectives. Now, let's say that we still don't want to give this one away. We still don't want to show this in our journal, but we want to make it so that the player could actually do it. So what you could do is you can edit this one and remove this inactive flag from it. Now, what this means is that even though the obtained necklace from Kobold objective is not listed in my journal, the player doesn't necessarily know that that's an objective. They can still perform it. That's what inactive means. So that's the difference between just hiding it and making it inactive. So now if the player, metagames a little bit, and this is an option. Some people don't want to do this, but some people do. Like, I personally don't care. If I want to allow the player to skip the chess piece because they just know this, they go kill the kobold, they will be able to get it. Now, that's fine and dandy. We can finish it like that, but now we still have this problem. All objectives in the Quest plugin still have to be completed like this. So what we've basically accomplished so far is just simply making it so that the player can't see this objective, however they can still do it. So I've gone and I've skipped the chest, I've gone and I've killed the kobold, and I've got the necklace, but I still can't turn it in because I haven't completed objective 1 yet. What I can do is another checkbox in here. I can turn this objective number 2 in here into what's called a prime objective. Now, all the objectives have this option as a prime objective. What this means is that if of all of the objectives that this NPC has, the player completes any objective, any one that's marked prime, all the other objectives are automatically completed for you. So if I set this objective to prime, what happens is I'll get the quest, I'll see examine chest for clues in my journal. However, I'm going to go and kill the kobold anyway, get the necklace, and as soon as I get that necklace, this objective number 2 is completed. But because it's a prime objective, all the other objectives in the list become completed as well automatically. Okay, so as soon as I get this necklace, I can go turn the quest in because the NPC thinks I've got all the objectives complete. So that's what prime objective means. So I can set one or more of these. Now that opens a couple of doors for us. I could have 3 or 4 different objectives, and I can have all 3 or 4 of them set to prime, and if the player completes any one of them, they are able to complete the entire NPC. They're able to complete all the objectives. So this allows me to do things like multiple different kinds of solutions for a quest. I can have a quest now where an NPC says, I need, a golden chicken. And there are multiple ways for you to get this golden chicken. You could have an objective to say, kill the kobold to get the golden chicken from him, or you could have an objective say, sneak into the castle and get the golden chicken from a chest, which would be a loot a placeable type objective. So I could have two of these kinds of objectives, kill the kobold, loot a monster drop, and get a golden chicken that way, or I could have a loot a placeable, get a golden chicken that way. And what I would do is I would have both of these objectives listed there. I would have both of them marked as prime. So that way what will happen is the player can either choose to go one route or they can choose to go another route. Either way it doesn't matter, because as long as they do one of them, because both are marked as prime, all the other objectives become completed and the player can turn in the quest. Now remember, this is not just limited to turning in and finishing a quest. This is on a per NPC basis. So what that means is I could have NPC 1 have a bunch of objectives, and then I speak to NPC 2, have NPC 2 have a bunch of objectives where we do the golden chicken thing, and once this one's completed he can go to NPC 3. NPC 2 could have multiple options. When we say a prime objective, we don't mean that if you do that objective you finish the quest. What we mean is that if you finish that objective, you finish all of that particular NPC's objectives. So if there's more to the quest, you still have to continue and do, NPC 3 and NPC 4, you still have to do their objectives. So all a prime objective means is that this particular NPC's objectives will all be completed if you do a prime. So that could, a lot of the times finish the quest for you, but it could also mean that, well, hey, you know what, you still have to go and talk to NPC number 2 and do NPC's number 2's objectives. It just means you've completed that one. So that's it can get a little confusing there, but that's what the way you have to think about it. You're just completing this particular NPC's objectives when you have a prime. Okay, and that's what that is. Now, remember when I said examine chest for clues when we were in game there, and we saw the, examine the chest for clues, and it says you discover some clues, and there was a 1 of 1 marked at the end? That's your quantity tracker. That's what that number means. So, if you've ever done quests where, whoop, hold on, I'm being interrupted. Sorry about that. I was just interrupted there. Anyway, as I was saying, when we examine the chest for clues, we saw that 1 of 1 at the end here, and sometimes that can happen. What it is that's your quantity counter to let you know as you do things, how far along in the quest you've come. Sometimes an NPC will say, hey, can you kill 5 of these things or loot 3 pieces of hamburger or whatever, and that's usually dictated by your quantity, how many of this thing the player has to do, and that's how you can track that. So oftentimes when you're only told to do one thing, it can get kind of annoying to see that 1 of 1, 2 of 2, or whatever, and you don't actually want to show that when they do that. What you can do here is check this checkbox called hide quantity. And that's what that does. That'll turn that off. So all they'll see is you discover some clues. You won't see, the 1 of 1 or 2 of 2. And it goes for the journal as well. If sometimes in a journal you'll see, examine chest for clues, and in brackets you'll see 5, right? Meaning you have to do it 5 times. Turn this high quantity off. We'll turn that off for you as well. Also, this alternate notice message. Now, it doesn't really apply in this examine placeable, so I'll just finish this one and show this, because this is a better example. Normally, how the Quest plugin displays those messages up there is it, like, when you have to obtain an item, if that's what you have to do, it'll say, found gold necklace. It'll just use the name of the item and the word found. And 1 of 1. You can do the hide quantity to make sure the player doesn't see that in their journal, but you can also use the alternate notice. Anytime you use the alternate notice, what happens is the text, when you complete the objective, the white text is replaced with whatever you put here. So, instead of saying found gold necklace, you found Jane's necklace, like that. And what'll happen is when you complete this task now, when you complete this objective, you'll see in the white text up top, instead of found gold necklace 1 of 1, you'll see you found Jane's necklace. So that's what alternate text does. So we've pretty much seen how alternate text, we've seen objective change notice, we've seen pretty much all of these, hiding yourself, all of this stuff. So you can do all of that, and we've seen show objectives and activate objectives on complete. So we've seen all of those too. So there's only a couple of little things that that we have to discuss. Set area flag on completion. This is completely related to the special effects plugin that we're going to get into a little later. And then of course we have things like no inventory check. So here's a good example of something that you may come across. Typically what will happen is when an NPC asks you to get an item, you go off, you go get the item, you get credit for it, and what will happen is you return the quest, turn in the quest, the NPC will actually check your inventory to make sure you have this gold necklace, okay? So if you have this gold necklace, great. If you've dropped it or tried to pass it off to another player, it's not going to let you, complete the quest because you actually don't even have it. However, there is a circumstance in which that may not be what you want to have happen. So take, for example, an NPC says, I want you to go and loot a placeable, and in that placeable I want you to get a key. And then I want you to go and use that key on a different placeable. Okay? What happens is that you have an objective that says go get a key, and then you have another objective that says use the key, and then the key will disappear. If you normally try to turn in the quest, what'll happen is the quest won't let you finish because it thinks you're supposed to have a key. It doesn't actually realize that you're going to use this key throughout the quest and you're not going to have it when you finish it. That's what no inventory check means. No inventory check means that the item that I'm going to get in this objective, don't check my inventory to see if I actually have it or not when I turn in the quest. When I have that turned on, whether I have the key or not doesn't matter. I can still turn in the quest as long as I've performed the actual objective, but it doesn't matter what I've done with the item. So that's where that can come in handy. So that pretty much concludes all of the advanced features of the Legends Quest plugin, and you just kind of start wrapping your head around those advanced features and see that you can actually create some pretty interesting things. Now, especially when you start combining this with the special effects plugin, which we're going to get into in the next videos, you can really make some very, very cool quests now with these new features, and I'll demonstrate some of those in the next series of videos, where we'll start doing just some special effects standalone without quests. Just do some fancy tricks with the special effects, and then we'll get into an even more advanced topic of let's combine quests with the special effects and create really cool adventures. We're not going to write any code. We're going to have some very cool adventures that we are going to be able to create now without writing a single line of code by combining the new advanced features of the plugin and the special effects. So that'll end this section of the videos on 188 for advanced. The next set is going to be standalone special effects, and then the final third set will be combining the two. So that is it, and we will see you in the next series of videos. Thanks for watching.